Hello YouTube, LTA here with Love Therapy Animals. This is my 1 month, slightly over a month, update on my sobriety journey. Want to know some tips to get through social situations in which alcohol is being served? Stick around to the end of the video. I'll tell you what I've learned. Alright, I know it's a little past Halloween, but what happens to a pumpkin when it drinks alcohol? It gets smashed. Alright, all jokes aside, I do apologize. It has been a couple extra weeks. Went on vacation. By the time we got back, life got in the way a little bit, so the video's a little late coming out. We're going to go ahead and get into the video. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I'm going to go ahead and put a link to my sobriety playlist somewhere up in here. Just like my last video, we're going to talk about the negatives, we're going to talk about the positives, talk about treatment, and then finally, we're going to go ahead and talk about some thoughts about where I'm at in my journey and what the future holds. Alright, first negative, just like I talked about in the last video, insomnia. At this point, it's no longer hindered by alcohol use, but it's also not improved. That being said, I am getting better sleep, so kind of balances out. Alright, second thing, this is a big one. Found out after a few blood tests over the last month and a half that there is some permanent or at least long-term damage to my liver. It's not extensive, it's fairly mild considering how much I've been using. I count myself lucky. But for those of you that drink out there, especially excessively or you binge drink, just know that there are serious consequences for your body, with your liver being one of the most important ones. I hope that the amount of damage that I did does not cause me any long-term problems, but I won't know that obviously for a while. Next thing, kind of one of my positives last video, I talked about staying busy is one of my number one things, or is my number one thing, to stave off cravings and keep myself on the straight and narrow. That's still true, however, there does come a point where you can only stay so busy before you need a break, and I kind of hit that and saw it as I went into vacation mode with the family. I hadn't let off the gas in a while and found it kind of hard to adjust to relaxing and finding other things to do. That brought up some of my cravings, kind of put me in a little bit of a funk for a little bit, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. I was with family who was supportive of what I'm doing, so it was pretty easy to kind of move past that. The last negative I've experienced, over the last few weeks really, I've had a lot of sugar cravings, sugar, carbs, things like that, which is unusual for me, so not helpful for my diet goals. But even with the sugar cravings and snacking that I've been doing, it is actually not, I've not gained any weight. The calories I was taking in with alcohol far exceed what I'm taking in with additional snacks and, occasional indulgences. So while it is a negative, it has not actually impacted me, and I'm in a good position to move forward with my weight loss goals here in the near future. All right, let's talk about positives. First and foremost, I really noticed not being hungover all the time. I have energy. I feel good, not really being hampered or hindered. Huge plus there. Next one, cravings have virtually disappeared. I was on vacation in New Orleans, and I did experience some cravings on Bourbon Street. Everybody there is drinking. It's kind of the thing there. But again, I was with supportive family, so it was pretty easy to move past. Outside of that little trip, cravings have virtually gone. The next positive, money savings. Did the math, and I was spending $400 to $500 a month on alcohol. For some, that might seem really high. For some, that might seem really low. It really all depends on what your poison of choice is. For me, it was whiskey, bourbon, scotch. But it has been quite noticeable, and it is quite nice to be able to start socking money away. Next thing I've noticed, I've had a lot of energy. I guess you could also say emotional energy, whereas I've been able to work on my relationship, both with my spouse, those around me, my kids. And what I mean by that is, spending time going out, having dates, having, more than just casual conversation, things like that. While drinking, that wasn't really a thing for me. I was always so tired. And of course, it was all self-inflicted. But it compounded the problems with those relationships. And now I'm on a good path to fixing them and making them better. All right, the final positive I have is it's become very clear that I've drastically reduced my risk of dying at an early age from diseases such as liver cancer, cirrhosis, diabetes, things like that. CDC has released a study recently that shows that alcohol-related deaths has gone way up since the start of the pandemic. I'm glad to find myself hopefully not within that group, and it's good to know that I'm taking care of myself a lot better now. All right, let's move on to treatment. Still an ADEPT, the military version of Alcoholics Anonymous. Go to group once a week. I have individual counseling. I have randomized drug testing. It's a good program that keeps me accountable and keeps me focused on staying sober. Next, I was in intensive outpatient therapy, but that has since finished. That was daily groups for several weeks. That being said, IOP was hit or miss for me when it came to the actual group. Some sessions were really good, and then some were really bad in a way that I wasn't getting a whole lot out of it. But overall, it was a positive experience. I'm glad that I got to go through it. I got to hear other people's stories, some a lot worse than I am, some a lot better than I was. So it was good to get those different perspectives and understand and learn how other people are dealing with the same sorts of problems. Moving on with therapy, I'm continuing with my workbook. Talked about it last video. Link will be in the description again. It's been a good way for me to keep track of my progress and serve as a reminder of the goals and the things that I need to stay focused on. Lastly, I've gotten into quite a few social media groups, a couple of them completely anonymous on Reddit. There's an app I use on my phone called I Am Sober, and then a couple of Facebook groups which aren't as anonymous. They'll let you interact with other folks, talk about your journey, learn about their journey, listen to advice, offer each other tips. They're actually really good. All these groups and these apps have been really good for understanding where I'm at, understanding what I'm feeling, and then really good for figuring out how to move through individual problems. So all of them are free. So for those of you that are on a similar journey or thinking about it, you can always jump onto these things and get an idea of what to expect from other folks that have been through it or are going through it. All right, so after being sober for over a month, here are kind of my thoughts moving forward. First and foremost, everybody around me has been incredibly supportive. Family, friends, people I work with. It's been very easy to maintain sobriety and avoid cravings with these groups. This might not always be the case. You might find yourself in a work scenario where everybody's drinking or, friends want to go out somewhere and they end up at a bar. Next thing, we already talked about it a little bit, but going to New Orleans really kicked in kind of cravings mode a little bit, which is something I hadn't experienced in a while. It's a solid reminder that I should avoid situations or people or places that might make me want to drink or put me in a position where I'm feeling those cravings. And it's something I highly recommend for everybody else going through the same thing, at least up at the beginning, is stay away from those things. Be very careful around them. You don't want to run the risk of relapse. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're very uncomfortable or you find yourself reaching for a bottle. All right, if you stuck around to the end, here are my tips on handling social situations in which there might be alcohol present. Biggest risks is people offering you drinks in a lot of situations. So always have a drink in hand, especially a red Solo cup if you can find one. Fill it with ginger ale, tonic water, seltzer, anything non-alcoholic. Chances are good you'll just avoid the questions or the offers to drink altogether. If that doesn't work, don't be afraid to politely decline somebody's offer for a drink. You don't have to tell them anything about your sobriety if you don't want to. Don't feel pressured to. You don't owe other people an explanation whatsoever. But that being said, if you find yourself in a situation where politely declining doesn't work, having a drink in hand doesn't work, just remove yourself from the situation. Excuse yourself, find a way out of it, tell the person you need to go take a work call or any number of things. Just find a way to get yourself out of the situation. Don't put yourself in that place where you feel obligated to take a drink. All right, final thought on my sobriety up to this point, and this is probably the biggest one. I feel myself being in control again. I don't feel like I'm living day to day for the next drink. I'm no longer saddled by alcohol, the hangovers, the negatives that go along with it. So being back in the driver's seat has been eye-opening. I didn't realize quite how much alcohol had been affecting me. I find myself better able to handle a lot of situations that normally I would just avoid or do poorly through. For those of you considering quitting drinking, just know that you get back into that driver's seat. You will be the one in control again. All right, so I know last video I talked about doing updates every month. I'm still going to do that, but it's not going to be through video format. My next video for this vlog will actually be right around that 6-month mark. YouTube's unlocked the community tab for everybody, so I will be posting there as my treatment progresses and as things go. If I learn something or I experience something that I think other people would benefit from, I will put that into the community link. In addition to the community tab, I've received a lot of questions recently from people looking for resources and support. So I hope to have a video out in the next few days that will actually discuss how to start and where to find resources for your own alcohol journey. So please be looking for that. Share that with folks that you think need it. Share these videos with folks that you think need it or could use advice from somebody who's going through similar struggles. Please feel free to post any questions you have regarding treatment, sobriety, mental health in the comments below. You can also post them in the community tab. I'm very fast, usually within a day or two, of answering questions or responding to folks. So by all means, go ahead and post away. If you'd like to see anything in the future video-wise regarding this topic, just let me know. All right, let's close this out with one more joke. One time I was in a bar. One of the patrons asked me, "Hey, do alcoholics run in your family?" I said, "Nope. They tend to stumble and fall on things." All right, this is LTA. Hope to see you on the next one.